First, multiple reports say terrorists have burned to death 45 people in the western Iraqi town of al-Baghdadi. This comes as Egypt bombs terrorist locations in Libya following the massive beheading of 21 Coptic Christians. Today in Washington, Vice President Biden met with city officials about how to keep that kind of violence from coming here. Chief White House correspondent Ed Henry reports on a terror group that appears to be gaining ground and, at least for now, putting the president on the defense. Good evening, Ed.
Good evening, Brett. The president just a short time ago met in the Oval Office with his new Defense Secretary, Ash Carter. He again vowed to the American people that he will dismantle ISIS, but this is a terror group that right now is very much on the march. Grisly images of 17 Kurdish fighters being paraded in cages by ISIS terrorists, just like the Jordanian pilot whose death shocked the world. Except this time, the fighters were part of a much larger group, 45 Iraqis in all, allegedly burned alive in western Iraq. This brings the gruesome body count to 66 in days, when you consider the beheading of 21 Christians in Libya, on top of this latest tragedy reported by a local Iraqi police chief, and not denied by State Department spokeswoman Jen Psaki.
I have seen the reports. The last I talked to our team, Ed, we did not have confirmation of that independently from here.
The latest atrocity came as Vice President Biden kicked off a 3-day summit on violent extremism.
We need answers that go beyond a military answer.
Along those lines, State Department spokeswoman Marie Harf suggested jobs may help defeat ISIS, drawing some ridicule from an MSNBC anchor.
We cannot win this war by killing them. We cannot kill our way out of this war. We need, in the longer term, medium and longer term, to go after the root causes that leads people to join these groups, whether it's lack of opportunity for jobs.
We're not going to be able to stop that in our lifetime or 50 lifetimes.
Harf took to Twitter today to note former President George W. Bush also said fighting poverty is an answer to terror. Though retired General Jack Keane said tools like the economy and social media can only go so far in the fight against ISIS.
In front of us is ISIS, who is marauding over Iraq and Syria and now Libya. The only way to stop them is to kill and capture.
Well, Pope Francis, for the second straight day, said the Coptic Christians killed Sunday were martyrs.
Pray for our brother Copts, whose throats were slit for the sole reason of being Christian.
The White House only put out a written statement Sunday from Josh Earnest that condemned the cowardly murder of 21 Egyptian citizens, with no mention of their faith. Though in the case of 3 Muslim students killed at the University of North Carolina last week, the White House put out a written statement by the president that specifically said nobody, quote, should ever be targeted because of how they worship, even though it's unclear what led to their deaths. Today, Attorney General Eric Holder took a swipe at Fox News when asked at a forum about why the administration will not call out Islamic extremism.
We spend more time talking about what do you call it, as opposed to what do you do about it. You know, I mean, really, if Fox didn't talk about this, they'd have nothing else to talk about.
While the vice president used the summit to note there's a large Somali community in his home state of Delaware.
There's an awful lot of driving cabs, and are friends of mine, for real. I'm not being solicitous. I'm being serious.
Now, while the White House will not call out the weekend attack as an atrocity against Christians, one senior Democrat did today. Senator Bob Menendez of New Jersey, where there's a large Coptic community, said specifically that they were murdered this weekend because of their Christian faith. Brett?
Ed Henry, live on the North Lawn. Ed, thank you. President